I was tweeting so much about making Spritz cookies that I thought I'd bring the video camera in and capture some of the action. I made one batch of dough and divided into 4 parts, and then mixed food coloring into each part. The cookie shooter uses these extruder plates. The plates have different designs, so it might be hard to see, but that's supposed to make something that looks like a Christmas tree, and it does an excellent job of it. This one makes something that resembles a wreath. This is more of a flower shape, and goodness knows whether that's supposed to represent something or just make a nice cookie. The extruder plate goes into a retaining ring that screws onto the end of a tube. The other end is a pistol grip caulking device. And when things are going right, one squeeze should produce just enough dough, push just enough dough out through the extruder plate to make one cookie. You don't refrigerate this stuff, you just keep it at room temperature. It needs to be quite flexible and sticky, or it's not going to come out of the press well. And it's also kind of important that the cookie sheet you're going to put these on should be dry, oil-free, and maybe even a little cool, because when the dough hits the sheet, it could coagulate a little bit against the surface of the sheet, and it'll come loose from the cookie press much more easily. So I'm going to load up the cookie press and give this a shot. There's a quick release lever here so I can pull the plunger all the way out. I have the Christmas tree extruder plate in there, so being as imaginative as I am, I'm going to take a chunk of the green dough and roughly roll it into a tube so it can slide in there easily. So I know I'm going to keep going once I get through the green. I wouldn't mind if I suddenly had some red Christmas cookies coming out of there, so I'm just going to fill that a little bit more with red dough. I won't have to go back as often. And then put the end of the plunger into the tube and screw the thing together. There's probably a lot of slack in there, so you might have to pump it a few times just to get the dough to compress out to the sides of the tube. I can see it's just starting to want to ooze out through the extruder plate. Okay, and now I'm kind of sad that I didn't capture that, because that probably would have made a pretty good cookie. So I'm going to clean that off and hope that the rest of them come out beautifully. Stand the cookie press on the cookie sheet. Pull the trigger until it clicks. Hold it in place for a moment and then just lift. And it's actually a pretty nice little cookie. I think if you lifted the cookie press up too quickly, you'd end up messing up the cookie. I don't know if you can tell, but I've gotten down to the red. There's just a little bit of red in the middles of these Christmas trees. And as I go along, there's going to be more and more red. Well, I squeezed just over 100 cookies out of that cookie shooter. My favorite decoration is the big shiny silver balls. But I grew up munching on these, decorating cookies with them, and never knew until a few years ago that they're actually real silver. Not the whole ball, just the very surface. So, the lazy man's decorating, I might just put a shiny bright ball on the top of each one of these and pretend that it's decorated. Actually, I rarely stop there. Got the yellow, just a little pinch. Maybe it'll look like some tree lights or Christmas ornaments, or that I'm just really lazy, or all of the above. So that's all these are getting, and then they'll go into the oven. And I have a feeling they go into a 400-degree oven for about 8 minutes. And you don't want them to turn color. They should just cook. If they turn color, they're going to have a slightly burned flavor to them. So, once they cool on the pan, you should just be able to slide them loose. There's so much butter in these things that you don't need to grease the pan. The butter in the cookies makes them come loose very easily.